Today, in the spirit of a previous video presentation on a recent film in which I reviewed the movie Flight, I'd like to review another movie that's just come out. In fact, it's come out in DVD. The movie is entitled Smashed. I think these two movies together, Flight and Smashed, they're both released in 2012, really serve as an effective kind of 1-2 complement to one another in terms of addressing recovery from addiction. Smashed, somewhat parallel to Flight, it follows the emotional and spiritual descent of, in this case, a female elementary school teacher, played really wonderfully by actor Mary Elizabeth Winstead. We witness her increasingly out of control immersion and eventual enslavement, in this case to alcohol. What the movie depicts with such understated yet unsparing honesty is how it is that addiction, in this case to alcohol, can so gradually insinuate itself into one's life, leading eventually, as it does in the movie, to what the 12-step program calls hitting bottom, at least for the one who can only drink alcoholically. And the character played here by Winstead, the elementary school teacher, finds that that's the only way she can drink is to excess. In the movie, as in life, it is this hitting bottom that is so incredibly painful to watch. The movie can be excruciating to watch. I want to warn you ahead of time. I talked about this phenomenon in my recent review of the movie Flight, where you have this, in both movies, you have this remarkable sense of redemption right in the middle of seeming catastrophe. And that certainly is the case with this movie, Smashed. In regards to Flight, I say amidst seeming catastrophe because the spiritual turning, in that case associated with the character played by Denzel Washington, it's not unaccompanied by a devastatingly high price that he paid for all of the wholesale, I called it the wreckage of the past after the 12-step program, the wreckage of the past owing to his addictive behaviors. Another way to think of this psychologically, though, is what gets devastated here. What gets devastated may in the end be the very sense of self, or a false sense of self, let's say, what psychology calls the ego, that led to the alcoholic drinking or other addictive excess in the first place. As in Flight, so here in Smash, it's the same. Ms. Winstead's teacher loses her job, her reputation, then eventually she loses her marriage. So all of this is painful to watch as it unfolds, yet it's clear at the movie's end that she, like Washington's character in Flight, is participating in and experiencing some very palpable freeing up. You get this sense of an increasing lightness of being in her character. It's a radical liberation, and it's visible to anyone who has eyes to see. Very powerful, even as it's embedded in the context of horrible loss of most things that matter to her. It reminds me of a number of years ago. I was teaching a graduate course in psychology. I'd actually woken up that morning from a dream. This happens to me every once in a while, where I wake up from a dream, not with a dream image, but with a saying. And I came in that morning to class, and I actually wrote this on the board. It was exactly what came to me in the dream. And I remembered this on the heels of watching the movie, the movie Smashed. Here's what I wrote on the board. Paradox is what God looks like to the human mind. I wasn't sure what that meant in the dream. I brought it in that morning, and it was a class on existential approaches to psychology, so we talked about that. What does it mean that paradox is what God looks like to the human mind? Excuse me. How is it, for example, that Job-like tragedy and loss, which you see in both of these movies, Flight and Smashed, how is it that, even though there are no guarantees, that such tragedy and loss can usher in what you see in both movies, which is this very deeply rooted sense of freedom, and in both cases a sense of gratitude, even as most things that have been important have been lost. Put it more pointedly, in terms of that statement that came to me in the dream, what paradox finds expression in such life reversals from dark to light? All I know this I know for sure, is that the movie Smashed, as with Flight, really evokes and invites us to get a feel for, even taste this kind of paradox that lies at the heart of both of these movies as strongly as any other films in memory. Thank you.